From Fox 8 Sports, this is the Overtime Podcast.
From the Gulf Coast Studios in New Orleans, this is the Fox 8 Overtime Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Fazende, riding shotgun as he does each and every podcast. This is Andre Johnson.
Junior.
Not forget the Junior. Very important. Remember the JR at the end of the name. Before we get into today's content, sure to like, to share, to rate, to review. If you're watching us on YouTube, please do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Get the bell notification. But when we drop that, fire content. Also, hello, Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. As always, we are glad you have found us here. As always, if you've been here and your friends haven't, tell your friends about us on the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. All right, Andre, we are down to the Final Four in the NFL. It is a Monday. The divisional round is come and gone. It has not disappointed. It did not disappoint. 3 of the 4 games were very, very entertaining, and the Final Four teams are the New England Patriots and Denver Broncos in the AFC, and the Seattle Seahawks and the LA Rams in the NFC. We're going to talk about the divisional matchups later in the show, but we have a very specific topic to this audience based off the divisional round to get to. But first things first, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. You know, it's been a good weekend. Watched a lot of good football with the family. Me and my dad, Andre Johnson Sr.
All right.
Were together. We were watching some of the games, and we got to going back and forth because my mom and dad were talking about, you know, they really didn't want to see the Broncos win because Sean Payton was the coach. And, you know, you actually saw something very similar.
Yeah, look, we wanted to go here today, and this is less of a commentary like we normally do. It generally is a question to Saints fans, our viewers. We kind of want to get a pulse of where the Saints fan base is, and it's simply this. Are you pulling for the Broncos? Are you happy for Sean Payton due to all the ties to the Denver Broncos? And by the way, I just counted the names off. Payton, Strief, Lutz, Rizzi, Lowry, Lil Jordan Humphrey, Pete Carmichael, Michael Lombardi, Joe Vitt, Zach Line, Dan Dalrymple, and I believe Adam Prentice is their fullback. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Is Adam Troutman still there too?
Troutman is still there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of connections. So the question is, were you pulling for Denver? Are you pulling for Denver? Are you happy for Sean Payton? Now, what happened, why did I bring this up? Because I had one of those, like, salt in the wound moments after the game. We all saw how it happened. We all saw how it ended. You can have your thoughts in terms of what was right, what was wrong. Me personally, I just truly believe Denver outplayed Buffalo, but we can get into the specifics of the situation if you want later in the show. But this tweet, man, I felt it in my bones because I felt it for Saints fans because it was an unintentional salt in the wounds moment courtesy of Tom Pelissero, NFL Network reporter. This is what he said. Sean Payton getting 2 tight pass interference calls on a potential game-winning playoff drive. It took a while, but the universe and officiating usually evens things out eventually. That hit me, man. That hit me because I retweeted it, then I quote tweeted it with this. Yeah, I don't think Saints fans feel any redemption. And that was really the genesis of this entire topic today. Are you happy for Sean Payton? Are you jealous? Are you bitter? Are you upset? Are you still hurt about what's happening when the way it all went down? Let me just get into what I think. Like I said, the question is, are you happy? Are you sad? Are you indifferent? Me personally, the way we do this thing with our job, we cover this thing, we go on to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And I said in a podcast a couple of months ago, Sean Payton was 4 head coaches ago. So we have all pretty much moved on. To me, I've gotten to the point now where he's basically the Broncos head coach. He wasn't even the last Saints head coach. He was 4 head coaches ago. And honestly, I've criticized the Saints for being somewhat nostalgic and kind of trying to relive those years. But I think even this year, even they've turned the page into they are trying to rebuild and re-engage and get back to their winning ways. Obviously, their winning ways without Sean Payton and forgetting about that happened, a few years ago. But for the fan base, you tell me. Leave the comments below. But this is where I feel like the majority of the fan base is. I still believe there is a hurt. I still believe there is a pain. I still believe that probably subsided over the last couple of years, that maybe has resurfaced because of where the Denver Broncos are. There is a feeling, I believe, that still resonates within the Who Dat Nation and the Saints fan base. There is a feeling of you, Sean Payton, you left us. You chose to leave us when the going got tough and you didn't have Drew anymore. You skipped town, and now you have found a new wife. You are in Denver, and with this new organization, you are doing great, wonderful things, the same things you did with us, and then you left before we could get it again. I still feel like that's where the majority of the fan base is. And not only that, not only did you go and find success really quickly within 3 years, we're here and we are still struggling. Then there's also this, Andre, and I say this as someone who has covered Sean Payton a long time, who knows Sean Payton. Like I said, I know him more than the average fan. I don't know him as well as some others, but I did have a media member, coach, back and forth relationship with him. Got along pretty good, pretty cordial, never really had any blow-ups with him. But I always felt like I know how this man thinks. I know how this man, how he goes, how he ticks. And I know he loves New Orleans. I know he appreciates his time with the Saints. But don't think for 1 second there isn't a slight satisfaction in his camp with him in knowing that I was the best coach they ever had and they still are struggling without me. So I was the reason for their success, and now I'm the reason why they haven't kind of picked things back up and been able to find the pieces again. I know he wouldn't gloat about that or whatever, but there's still a little bit of satisfaction in Sean Payton when it comes to that. Now, you watch. You watch how you'll start to hear it. Press conferences, whatever. The second the Saints are good again, you're going to hear you're going to see a little jealousy from Sean Payton's part. I'm telling you, because now all of a sudden the Saints have found some winning ways again without the greatest coach that ever did it. I'm telling you, he is like that. He's just kind of like that. He's got this competitive, call it competitive arrogance about him. That's probably a good thing for the NFL, where he doesn't just want to be the best. He wants to be the reason why they were the best. And he's got a little bit of that in him. But the second this Saints organization gets back on track and starts doing big-time things without him, you'll start to see a little bit of behind the scenes, whoa, you're doing that without me type of situation. Speaking of that day, to kind of wrap this all up, at least in my opinion, that day when the Saints are starting to win again, that day when the Saints become contenders again, who knows, maybe that's next year. When that day comes, that will be the day this hurt that I'm talking about today will officially disappear, and he'll just be another coach in the AFC. So that's where I'm at with it. I think the majority of Saints fans are not pulling for Sean Payton. I don't think they're happy for him, and I think they're still hurt a little bit about the way it all went down. What say you?
I think there are a lot of Saints fans that feel that way, but you got to realize it's called the NFL, and the F ain't for forever. You know, me personally, I'm not mad at Sean Payton. I understand the situation, because when you look at it, again, I grew up in the city of New Orleans, grew up rooting for the Saints, but if I were to be angry at Sean Payton, I'm saying, okay, well, regardless of the contract that Sean Payton signed, it's okay if Gail Benson or Mickey Loomis said, you know what, we don't want you to coach anymore. We don't care about that contract anymore. You're out the door. But it's not okay for Sean Payton to say, you know what, I don't want to coach here anymore. I'm going to walk out the door myself. You don't have to show me the door. I know where it is. You know, one way or another, Sean Payton and the Saints probably weren't going to last forever. We just saw
they were not.
John Harbaugh leave the Baltimore Ravens. We just saw Mike Tomlin leave the Pittsburgh Steelers. A couple years ago, Mike McCarthy leaving the Packers. We even saw Bill Belichick leave the New England Patriots. One way or another, that union was going to end. Sean Payton just decided to end it instead of having the Saints end it for him, you know. But when you look, you mentioned wife. a lot of the people watching, you know, you probably got ex-girlfriends, ex-boyfriends, maybe ex-wives, ex-husbands. Are you wishing misfortune on all of them? There's not a small bit of you that says, you know what, we had our time was good. I'm happy. I'm over here with Kellen Moore. I hope that they go somewhere and find themselves some kind of happiness, even if it ain't with me. Hopefully, they go on and do their thing. And, at the end of the day, when Sean Payton came to New Orleans, this was a team that didn't know what success meant in the case of football. This was a team that Sean Payton got 10 wins his first year. They hadn't seen 10 wins in like 5-6 seasons. And with Sean Payton, the Saints had the best stretch in franchise history, the best stretch in any sports history in this city. One of the most meaningful Super Bowls, championships in the history of sports, considering the city and what it had been through over the years before then. He helped bring life back into the city after Hurricane Katrina. And when you do something for the Saints, you're not just doing something for a football team, you're doing something directly for a city. So when I look at what Sean Payton has done for New Orleans, when I look at what Sean Payton has done for the Saints, sure, he got to a point after almost 15 years and said, hey, you know what, maybe I want to go coach somewhere else. I think he earned that right. But at the end of the day, he's done enough for this team, enough for this city, to where I'm like, you know what, Sean, you go do you. You want to win a championship in Denver, I'm rooting for you. Probably won't happen because Bo Nix is down and they got Jarrett Stidham. That's a conversation for later in the podcast. But me personally, I'm rooting for Sean Payton, even though I know a lot of Saints fans aren't.
It's interesting because I know a lot of those. I mean, Zach Strief was our locker room go-to guy forever when he was doing interviews. So, wish them all success, obviously. And when he left, I remember thinking, when he signed here in 2006, did anyone really think he was going to be here for 15 years? And he was here for 15 years. That's the smart, mature response that you just had. But come on, it's the greatest they ever had here. They haven't had success since he left. Saints fans would be so happy right now to watch Payton and company do his thing if the Saints win the playoffs too. If Kellen Moore was a little further along with the success. Now there are seeds there. Got a quarterback, young offensive-minded head coach. Got some things to look forward to in the offseason. But you know how New Orleans people are. You know how Saints fans are. Yeah. They felt like they got their hearts ripped out when he left. And him leaving, I don't think was the problem. We knew at some point, we all knew at some point he was going to coach again. But to get back in the game so quickly, and in that time from him leaving to the year at TV to now 3 years in Denver to have one step away from the Super Bowl, all the while the organization left behind is still trying to pick up the pieces and find their footing again. I understand the hurt. I really do. I understand the hurt. And look, I posted a video similar to this on TikTok. So if you don't mind, this is a little bit of a poll. I'm going to read some of the comments just to see where we're at in terms of the reaction, because I straight up said, the question was, are Saints fans pulling for Sean Payton and the Broncos? Here he goes. You ready? No, indeed. Pulling for him. Broncos Nation, baby. All my grumpiness is usually pointed at Mickey and Gail, not Sean Payton. Go Pats. No. Nope. That's tough. We love him in Denver. That must have been a Denver fan. Hard no. No, not happy. And it hurt when he came in the dome with the Broncos and smoked us. No. I'm happy for him. Honestly, I believe Sean would have stayed if he was happy. We don't know the circumstances, so that's 1+ for Payton. Man, hell no. Yes, I am. I'm sorry, I'm not pulling for him. I love him, but no. That's probably the clearest. And then no, not really. Nope. Indifferent. No. Hell nah. Yeah.
No, indeed.
I think my instinct was probably correct. I think the majority of y'all are not pulling for him. What is it going to take for you to? You got to get to the point of indifferent at some point. That's kind of where I'm at with that. He's the Broncos head coach. He's there. He's not the Saints head coach anymore. He hadn't been a Saints head coach here in a long time. And there's a different opportunity that awaits New Orleans. But it's hard when you're watching the guy who walked away and he's doing so well somewhere else. And the people here didn't ask for the breakup. They didn't ask for it. And that's what happens. Now, the flip side's always the case. Ownership can fire a guy, and then that guy can come and resurface, and then the opposite is true. You pull for the guy because they said, y'all said y'all didn't want him. Now he's doing big things. You kind of pull for a guy like that. So it's interesting. I just felt like it was a way to say it, because I quote tweeted Pelissero. I said, yeah, I don't think Saints fans are in the mood for redemption, feel any redemption right now. Like, it was, Sean Payton got his redemption, but the Saints fans still haven't got their redemption from no call. Not only that, it's been a really tough stretch, and maybe the arrow's pointing back up, but it's been a really tough stretch since then, and that's where the Saints fans currently sit. It sounds like to me, Andre Johnson Sr. agrees with most of the Saints fans.
He definitely does. And I do agree about the Tom Pelissero tweet. That was a bit tone deaf, because I promise you, I was listening to Teron Armstead and Alvin Kamara talk about the no call, and they used the word trauma. I don't think any of that trauma healed watching the Broncos game.
No.
So a lot of the Saints fans that are still hurt about that call, and rightfully so, I don't think they feel any better watching the Broncos benefit off 2 pass interference calls. But like I said, NFL, the F ain't forever. We've seen champions, some of the most iconic athletes in their respective sports, leave their teams in a bunch of different ways. We saw LeBron leave Cleveland and Miami and Cleveland again. They weren't happy at first, but his jersey's going to be in the rafters, and there's going to be a lot of Cavs fans and Heat fans that are celebrating. Speaking of the Heat, we saw D. Wade leave Miami. He came back. They love him. We saw Michael Jordan leave Chicago twice. They love him. We saw Shaq leave LA. We saw Brady leave New England. We saw Manning leave Indianapolis. We saw Aaron Rodgers leave Green Bay. I mean, almost every iconic athlete has left their team. Almost every iconic coach has left their team. And at some point,
it's gonna
you get over it, and you look at the fact that, okay, yeah, maybe they didn't finish in our colors, but look at what they did for us. And I say this respectfully, I don't think the Saints are in the position to win a championship or be one of the prominent franchises in the NFL for as long as they were without the duo of Sean Payton and Drew Brees.
Of course.
Without Sean Payton, you don't have any success as a franchise if you're the Saints. So you know what, Sean? Hey, you did your thing. You left. That was your decision. At least you left with a championship. Because I know when LeBron left Cleveland the first time, the job wasn't finished yet. They hadn't won anything. So there was a little bit of animosity there. Peyton left you with a championship, a Super Bowl. You got a statue out front the dome, a lot of great memories. So, hey, I am in the minority here. Peyton, you go get you another Super Bowl, brother.
Like I said, a very mature Andre Johnson Jr., a very mature response, understands the situation. I get it. I can tell you I am completely indifferent. I don't care if they win. I don't care if they lose. I kind of equate Buffalo to New Orleans a little bit, that fan base, that market, the suffering. So I'd be lying if I said I didn't think I predicted them to win. So I was kind of hoping they could pull it out, but they did what Buffalo does. They didn't play. I mean, Broncos outplayed them. I mean, they completely outplayed them. Despite there were a few controversial calls, but I thought if you add it all up, the Broncos outplayed the Buffalo Bills, and they deserve to move on. Now, can they do it this weekend against New England? I'll say this, and my apologies to Braxton Brown, our producer, who is a Houston native. I think Peyton against the Texans can win, because I think with Jarrett Stidham, because I think you can win 9-6 against the Texans. Broncos against the Patriots with Drake May, who hasn't played quite as good in the postseason as I think people realize, because he was overshadowed a little bit by how bad C.J. Stroud was yesterday. Yeah. But I think that's going to be tough to overcome with Vrabel and Drake May. But I do know Peyton's a guy game planning for this. In a one-game window, he could probably come up with something to at least be competent offensively. Yeah,
I agree. And you mentioned that Denver-Buffalo game. Looking back at that game, when your quarterback in Josh Allen turns it over 4 times, it's going to be very difficult for you to win a playoff game on the road in Denver. We recognize that. So, yeah, I think Denver definitely played well enough to win that game. Going into New England, not just last week, Drake May hasn't been great in the postseason so far.
No,
I mean, the first round, was it the Chargers in the first round? They weren't great against the Chargers.
It's been overshadowed because of how bad the other quarterbacks were.
C.J. Stroud was awful. The Texans turned the ball over 5 times. It's not like Drake May has been lighting the world on fire, but that Patriots defense has been doing what they do. I think it could be another game like that. I mean, do I see Jarrett Stidham coming out in the biggest game of his life and scoring more than 17 points? No, I don't. And the way that Patriots defense has been playing, the way Drake May has been doing just enough, I think New England probably advances to the Super Bowl.
I still think it's going to be a close game because, Denver still have Mile High, still have the elevation. Drake May is still a second-year player. But, man, that's a huge hole to overcome with a backup now. Other teams have done it, most notably Nick Foles. But Nick Foles was a starter at one point before he hit that point when he was called upon. I remember, back in the day, Jeff Hostetler led the Giants. It was Parcells' second title with the Giants. So it'll be interesting to see. On the NFC side of things, because obviously that's where we live, just in terms of who we cover and the conference that they're in. Boy, Seattle set the tone from the first play. Look, I think everybody's pulling for Rashid Shaheed. He got traded. I was like, yes, go do you, man. Go do you. You got traded. The Saints are better. You're better. I don't know if the Saints are better, but the Saints get compensation, and you're on a doorstep of a Super Bowl. But man, the game of the weekend had to be last night, right?
Whew,
oh my God, what a game, Bears and Rams.
That dang Caleb Williams. He is my type of quarterback. He is going to make you say, wow, one way or another when you're watching his games. I mean, he's going to make some of the worst throws you've ever seen, but 4th and 4, game on the line, he's going to run back 30 yards and make a Derek Jeter jump throw right in the breadbasket of his backup tight end. Who does that? I mean, when you talk about Caleb Williams, the arm talent is there. We're still working on the instincts, but he's the strangest quarterback because it feels like he's almost more comfortable making the hardest throws in the world than he is with some of the layups.
That's it. And I until he gets a little bit better at the layups, it's always going to be like this. It's going to be like this with him, kind of the highs, the lows, the highs, the lows. I mean, that was such an incredible play. I've never seen a play like that. I mean, he legitimately was 25 yards behind the line of scrimmage, off his back foot, throwing it, flick of the wrist, and Cole Kmet catches it and just casually goes back. It's like it was supposed to happen. I was like, this is unbelievable. But I got to say, I've never been more impressed with a team than the Rams in that situation because, I mean, that whole stadium flipped. It's rocking. They just ripped your heart out. On a play it wasn't supposed to happen. It's freezing cold. You're an LA team. You have to basically go to overtime. Then you punt in overtime, but to stay in the moment. So you had to give the ball back to the kid that just ripped your heart out, to stay in the moment, to stay focused, and get the interception. I'll say this about the interception. DJ Moore is getting blamed for it. There's probably enough blame to go for him. I've watched the play a couple times. I think even if you run that route correctly, I think Caleb Williams is probably leading him too much, so it's probably a bang-bang play. But don't discount how unbelievably awesome that interception was, where he's sliding kind of on his shoulders, makes the catch, rolls over, ball kind of flips, and he catches it to give his team a chance. And then Matt Stafford does what Matt Stafford does. Let the veteran leadership of the Rams really pull through. And 3 out of my 4 teams advanced. That was I picked Buffalo to beat Denver. Other than that, I got the other 3 right. So I think that was what a way to close out divisional weekend.
You mentioned Matt Stafford. I will say I'm kind of hesitant on the Rams right now because you know who they remind me of? The 2024 Chiefs. Yeah. They're doing just enough. Because the Rams, I mean, look at what they did against the Panthers. The Rams are head and shoulders better than the Panthers. Even though the Panthers were able to play the best game of the season and beat them in the regular season, the Rams messed around and almost lost to Carolina in a game that Bryce Young wasn't great in. I wouldn't even say he was good in. You mess around and almost lose to the Bears, another team you were better than. You succeed because at the end of the day, when you needed it, you got it. Situational football. We talked about it with the Chiefs all last year. But eventually that came back to bite them when they played the Eagles team in the Super Bowl that didn't give them situational football. It was over before it started. So I'm a little worried about the Rams right now, especially against a team like Seattle.
They got to go Seattle, who's clicking on all cylinders. They didn't even need a whole lot from Sam Darnold, but he was still effective. They did lose their running back, so that's something to watch. They're going 12th man. They're going to Seattle, LA. They've been there before, so they'll understand the elements. But yeah, I'm with you. It's a very intriguing matchup because I picked Seattle to win. But if LA wins, it'll be because of those veterans. It'll be because of Stafford, the situational playmaker. It'll be because of Devontae Adams making a beautiful sideline, toe drag, swag catch. It'll be, Puka Nacua. That's a third down play. They send that nickel, and Puka breaks off his route. They knew it right away. Boom, he catches it, puts him in field goal range. That's veteran football right there. So you can't. That's what they have going for them. Plus, they have Sean McVay. McDonald's never been there. Darnold's never really been there. So that's going to be an intriguing matchup. And on the other side, not having Bo Nix adds a totally different layer to it. I gotta go with New England. Although I do think Payton and company can do enough to win this game, even without Bo Nix, I still can't go against Drake May and New England Patriots.
I'm going Patriots-Rams as well. I think the Rams are able to eke out.
Did I say Rams? I meant Seattle. Seattle. I'm going Seattle to win.
I'm going Patriots-Rams then. And it's interesting looking at all the quarterbacks around. The Broncos have a quarterback disaster. Buffalo has to figure out what's going on with Josh Allen because this was his year to win.
Yeah, they have to.
And for him to play like that in the AFC Championship, you got a problem. Houston, who was building around C.J. Stroud, now has to really take a step back and say, can we plan the next 10 years around a guy who's played like this all season and even last year? New England and Chicago, no matter how their seasons end, I feel like they're in a good spot considering they've got second-year quarterbacks and a first-year coach in Chicago, first year in New England in Mike Vrabel. And then the Rams, Matt Stafford wins another Super Bowl, you start talking all-time greats.
Of course.
You look at the numbers, you look at the accolades, 2 championships. You start putting Matt Stafford's names up there with the Rodgers, with the Breeze, who is above Rodgers. That's a separate conversation. But with those guys.
Yeah. And, I don't have enough time to get into it. I guess we got to get out of here. I guess we'll save that for Wednesday. All right, we got to get out of here. For Andre Johnson Jr., I'm Sean Fazende. We'll catch you guys next time on Overtime.